Welcome to the Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside J Dawg.
Mike, it's good to see you. I'm wearing my Chiefs jersey. Thank you very much for the gift yesterday.
Yeah, I was handing them out. When you're getting them overseas, they're a little cheaper. I'm sure the NFL's not happy to hear that, but
well, don't tell people you got it overseas. Tell people you got it from the commercial, which ran 3 times in the Super Bowl. I don't think anyone had 3 commercials except Timu in the whole game.
Timu had 3 commercials. All 3 of exactly the same commercials. Didn't even try to switch it up. They're just like, yeah, we'll spend $21 million. Let's just run the same thing over and over again. You shop like a billionaire at Timu. This is not sponsored by Timu. I love Timu. It is great. I don't know how they do it. I ordered 5 jerseys for the Super Bowl party, and you're wearing one of them. And they're great quality.
I'm wearing one. Super Bowl champ Travis Kelce. All he does is hook up with the best, most successful women in the world and win Super Bowls. Now, Mr. Taylor Swift has 3 of them. I loved the game yesterday. You had a party. There was tons of people there. What'd you think of the whole vibe of the party and the game?
Well, let's start at the beginning. We had a cook-off for a potluck. We had a potluck for our Super Bowl. Everybody showed up and brought their best dishes forward. Everybody was very excited. There was way too much food. Everybody, tons and tons of food.
So much.
We voted for the champ, the 3 top dishes of the day after the halftime show. It was great. A lot of people, a lot of babies. We did have a little side room to go into occasionally, but you were definitely cut off from the party. So you kind of you only could go in little blips out in the back room.
Mike felt guilty going in the back room as he hosted 29 people at his house, which is totally understandable. I didn't feel guilty about hanging in the back because, I'm a real football nerd, and that's what we do. We love the games. And so there's only one game left. It's our last one until September that matters. And so I had to get as much ball watching in. I loved you having the party, so much food. You had coolers of drinks on a Sunday night. People had to work on this Monday morning. We can't be drinking that much, Mike.
Well, some of our friends did. Mutual friend hit it pretty hard.
He took Monday off. As we know, we've been campaigning for Super Bowl Monday for many years, probably 14 years on this podcast, and they haven't done it. They're getting closer because we're now 1 week away from President's Day. So I have next Monday off, but not today.
So you should use it as don't they give out floating holidays? Everybody should just use their floating holiday for the day after.
Yeah, but I'm an adult and I don't need to use a floating holiday on a hangover the day after the Super Bowl. Especially out here in California, it starts at 3:30, which is so much better than that 6:30 version we were just talking as we came on. It was the longest Super Bowl in history, the longest length of game as it went to overtime. And also the clock was crazy. The clock was counting down at the end of that overtime period. And we didn't know, no one really knew. The announcers weren't really breaking it down. It was so new to everyone. We didn't know if that was the end of the game. Did they have to rush a snap in? And then I think they scored that game-winning touchdown with 5 seconds left in the first overtime.
Yeah, I mean, we found out that San Francisco had no clue what the overtime rules were with all the press going on today. We were a little questionable. I mean, they flashed it in front of us when we were watching the game. And all of us were understanding it differently. I'm like, oh no, they got more time. They have possession. It was definitely confusing, but they had more time. I think they had a whole nother 15-minute quarter if it went over time.
They did. It was okay. They weren't rushing to the line to get those plays off at the end of the first overtime. Apparently, I heard today, the only reason there's a clock is because if you're in outside conditions, there might be an advantage to kicking one way or the other. So they want to flip the field after one overtime, which I guess makes sense, except the Vegas Super Bowl was inside, so it wasn't necessary.
So hold on. So explain it to me real quick. So if both of them didn't score, does it not go to sudden death, or do they get another opportunity if somebody scores?
It does go to sudden death, and that's why Shanahan says he called the coin toss the way he did. There's a lot of criticism that Shanahan may not have known because he took the ball first. That was a choice he made.
Yeah.
And then what that did in hindsight is it made Brock Purdy only get 3 plays per possession. If you don't convert on 3rd down, you have to kick it or punt it on 4th down. But it's Mahomes on the other side who knew they needed a field goal to tie, touchdown to win, and then he's going for it on 4th down. If anything, you should have given that 4th down advantage to Purdy and given him 4 downs to go down the field. They punt or they kicked the field goal on 4th and 4. They could have gone for it if they knew Mahomes would score a touchdown, which they probably should have counted on it anyway. So I thought Shanahan really bungled the end of the game, and he's no stranger to bungling Super Bowls, as we know. The famous 28-3 game, he was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. He made a Super Bowl with Jimmy G and then lost to Mahomes several years ago. And now this one, they were up 10-0, dominating in the first quarter, and it fell apart again.
Well, let's talk about the game. When the game started, it felt very slow. we were betting on everything. I was a part of 3 different square games going on. Other people
you had a lot of money on the coin toss.
A lot of money on the coin toss, which didn't go my way. It was heads, not tails. I always thought tails, it ends up on top because it's heavier, so it pushes down the heads because it's a custom coin. They make this coin and like stitch stuff into it, so it's a little heavier.
But you didn't account for this random guy coming out to flip the coin. You'd have thought the ref would do it, but no.
It was an aggressive flip, like flipping it forward. Usually the ref flips it up. I think that would have helped a little more. So I got to find out next year.
Back on that.
Yeah, who's flipping the coin next year?
Yeah.
But yeah, the game, it felt slow. We were like, I wasn't bored, but we were definitely, it felt long. The first half felt very long. Yeah. Slow game, not a lot of points. Wasn't really helpful.
One touchdown in the first half, and it was thrown by a non-quarterback. So it was like such a weird first half. Not much offense, not many sustained drives, fumbles on both sides. It wasn't good in the first half. No. Thankfully, Usher woke us up, right?
I don't know. The audio, what I heard from the internet, the audio was messed up for his song. Now, we had our TV on blast. Like my Sonos speakers were on blast. We still couldn't hear anything. Also, I couldn't hear, I wish I could hear what Romo was saying the whole game because I couldn't hear that either. You really miss a lot when you're at a party. You're just kind of like looking at the screen, be like, okay, like it's going this way. We don't know what's really going on. There's no there's commentary from in the house. If people are watching it, I would say maybe like 5 to 7 of us out of the 20 something were actually watching the game. At some point, there was like a corner of people over here. There were people watching the kid outside. And so I don't know. It was hard to watch. Next year, maybe everybody gets headphones and it's like a silent disco where everybody can just like listen to it.
We'll talk about the end of the game, but I don't know that Romo had the best performance, especially right at the moment that the Chiefs won the game, won the Super Bowl on that catch to Hardman. Romo spoke for like 40 seconds when he should have just laid out and let the scenes carry it, and he was like analyzing the play. It was kind of weird. So Romo's in trouble again, and we don't know if he's going to survive the offseason.
Why wouldn't he survive the offseason?
There's a ton of criticism out there, Mike.
I don't know. So what do you think about the game?
Available.
What do you think about the game overall? Because at first, I think we were talking, it reminded us a little bit of the Patriots-Rams game where there was no touchdowns. It was just like field goals, kind of slow, kind of boring. Everybody felt like maybe they partied a little too hard in Vegas for the last 2 weeks. Something was going on.
But they were staying at Lake Las Vegas, so I don't know how many parties are going on there. We didn't even know Lake Las Vegas existed 2 weeks ago, and we were just in Vegas 2 weeks ago.
We're going to check it out next time, though.
It turns out 35 miles away from the Strip. Beautiful resorts. Beautiful. There's water. It's not a desert anymore, apparently, once you get out there. We heard one of the players was attacked by a coyote. I don't know if they know who that was yet, but
I don't know.
They're really out there, really away from the Strip. So I don't know if they were partying. I saw last night they were at the Wynn. I saw Kelsey and Taylor Swift, and the Chainsmokers were there.
Yeah.
It looked like a nice after party.
Taylor and Travis just partying it up with a big house full of Taylor fans for sure watching the game.
That's right. And that's what you went for, which we appreciate. So you ask about the game and coming to the game. One of my big thoughts, one of my big things, I've said it on this show. I said it in the group text. I said it with my money on the bets. I don't want to live in a world where a 7th round quarterback can beat Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. That's not the world I want to live in. Because if that's a fact, if that can happen, that means the whole draft process doesn't matter. All of our podcasts between February and August don't matter. None of it matters except the games. And that's unacceptable to me. As a talking head, one of the guys who gives hot takes in this world, just like you, Mike, I need this whole draft process. I need the takes. I need all the thoughts, all the analysis, the evaluation. And Brock Purdy did prove that he cannot beat Patrick Mahomes on that stage because he wasn't good enough.
Sure.
And the only passing touchdown the 49ers had in the game was from Jawan Jennings. That tells you everything you need to know.
I know, but he still got there. And that's the thing, right? Lamar Jackson couldn't get there. Who else couldn't get there?
Who'd he beat to get there? Jordan Love and Jared Goff. Seriously, that's who he beat to get there.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, he still got there, and those guys were higher draft picks. Those guys were there. There is something special there. He's probably going to get better. This man doesn't get another contract for what? For like another year. He's still going to be making $800,000 this year while, whoever Patrick Mahomes is making $800,000 every game, or probably a lot more than that. But I just think He's still good. This team can still be good because guess what? They got a lot of salary cap, right? They still have tons of room because they're not paying Brock Purdy anything. Maybe
apparently they're not allowed to give him a raise, which is like the NFL is really suppressing their backup quarterbacks here because that's what he's supposed to be. He's not allowed to have a raise until like after next season, so he's going to stay at that 700,000 number, and we know he looks like he makes that much money when he walks into the arena in his Coles outfit every game.
Yeah, well, I do think that if Brock Purdy can do what he did this year and just make sure that he plays well. I think it's a big stage too, Jeremy. You got to think about it. When you're up there playing and you have all these people, like you could even see it when he was up there doing some of the press. He's a little nervous, and that's a big stage to be on. And you were Mr. Irrelevant. You literally were the last pick in the draft. No one thought anything of it, and here you are playing in the Super Bowl. And yeah, there were a lot of doubters, but he did pretty good. I mean, he was beating Patrick Mahomes at some point during the game. It was just, I think, more coaching than anything, right? Like you have to say by the end of the game, it's like, okay, you're leaving this much time and he's going to come back and kick a field goal. And now they're going to go into overtime. Like it's not, I don't know. I think it's
You're
coaching.
blaming Shanahan more than Purdy. I'm blaming Purdy more than Shanahan. I think the Niners should look at a quarterback competition in the offseason. I think you look at bringing in real competition for him because I think they made the Super Bowl in spite of him. I think they made the number 1 seed in spite of him. And with anyone better, like a replacement level or above, like insert random AFC quarterback here. Tua would lead the Niners to a win in that game yesterday. I believe that.
Maybe, but he's not there. But also Sam Darnold is there, right? Like other people are thinking, like I saw a headline saying Sam Darnold might be like the Minnesota Vikings quarterback next year. And like they want him to be the quarterback. Now, Minnesota Vikings have also like taken a lot of different guys this year and played him at quarterback spot. But I don't know. It seems a little weird that he is good, but I think it's also the nerves get to you. And I think now that he's been there, he knows what to look for.
I think we saw him reach his limit in the regular season. He is who he is. He's a game manager, as so many people said. He didn't make an interception in the Super Bowl. I give you that. I stand corrected. He did have 1 touchdown pass to Juwan Jennings. I forgot Jennings caught
MVP Juwan Jennings.
Should have been if the Chiefs didn't pull that out. Or how about this one? By the way, people are talking about this today in all the shows, Mike. The Niners had an extra point blocked in that game. They should have had 1 more point if they had a more competent kicker. Moody's been struggling throughout the playoffs, throughout the season. Shanahan stuck with him, this young kicker. If they make that extra point, there's no overtime, right? And the Niners win the Super Bowl, and that's a talking point I think we can't leave out either. And to your point, that's like a different thing. If they make the extra point, Purdy's a Super Bowl champ, but it didn't happen, and he's not. And getting the ball first in overtime did him no favors either. He didn't lose the game, but he certainly didn't win it. We can agree he did not win the game.
Sure, yeah, he did not win it. I mean, Jeremy, it's so hard to watch these games. Like, we have a better review of games after a regular Sunday when we watch 15 games. When we watch just one game, it was the struggle bus watching this game with everybody. I think next year it needs to be like locked in a room, max capacity 5 people, no one else is invited, because it is hard. It is very, very hard.
I'm so glad you're saying this because I completely agree with you. I just don't know what we say to our listeners who are at the party. Like, they're listening to us right now. Like, how do they find out on this show they might not be invited back next year?
I don't know. I think the thing is you just don't host and you just say, we've watched. I think you have to put a stipulation in. Like I do every year. I say, if you want to host a Super Bowl amongst our friend group, you have to host 1 regular season game to be qualified. Now, I think it also has to be like, you have to be at 1 regular season game at least with all of us to be invited to the party. Now, a lot of people at that party actually were at least at 1 regular season game.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
there's no bad individuals. We're not saying anyone there caused it to be a bad time. Honestly, everyone was well behaved. The Taylor Swift fans were supportive. The football fans were supportive. It was just hard to watch the game.
It was hard.
And we're the football nuts, right? You do how many podcasts a week on the NFL? Many. We do this one every single Monday. We're recapping the action. And so you're right. We have to get back in the lab, watch a little more tape, and see what else is going on. What about the Taylor Swift angle of it? They showed her a lot.
Wait.
We're happy she made it from Tokyo. Yeah.
Before Taylor Swift, let's do Magic Mind. Let's talk about Magic Mind. Talk about how you got up this morning, because I know it was a struggle to get up this morning.
My voice is a little raspy because I was hooting and hollering. I may have won a few squares last night, may have had a few extra drinks, and I needed a little help being productive this morning on a Monday morning. Monday mornings are always tough. I tell you guys that every week. The Super Bowl Monday is a new one. It's like the sports hangover, the Super Bowl hangover, all in one. but I felt better when I took my Magic Mind. I have it right here in my hand. You too can have Magic Mind for your focus issues. It really helps alongside your coffee in the morning. It doesn't make you jittery. It just gives you energy and focus. It gives you that focus to grind through tasks, whether it's work, whether it's podcast prep, like we're doing on a Monday morning.
You needed
whatever
it today.
It is. We strongly recommend Magic Mind. You can go to magicmind.com to try it out yourself. We have a promo code, Mike, the Sports Hangover, which gets you an extra 20% off. It might get you as much as 75% off. It might get you that much if you just go to magicmind.com. Promo code the Sports Hangover to subscribe. I love it. I'm running out, so I need to order some more too, and I'm going to do it for magicmind.com using promo code the Sports Hangover.
Love it. All right, now let's talk about Taylor Swift. This was the highlight of the game. I really like, the only thing that we knew is every time Travis did something on the field, there was a cutaway to Taylor Swift, which I really appreciated every time. Ice Spice was there, Blake Lively, a few other people. I don't even know who else was in the box, but all we could see is Taylor and her crew watching the game. And she got a ring. She got a Super Bowl ring.
She did. She got on the Super Bowl stage. She got on the field down there afterwards. She wouldn't have been on the field if they lost. She was at the after party with the chain smokers, so the whole thing. They showed her over 10 times, so that over hit, which is great. The one time they didn't show her is when Travis Kelce was yelling at Andy Reid and kind of bumped into him, almost like a little altercation. And I saw actually some other NFL players saying if they did that, I think it was A.J. Brown tweeted, if he did that to his head coach, the headlines would be much different, which is probably fair. We don't see many players attacking their head coach in a game, but I think Travis and Andy have kind of that special relationship where we kind of look past it.
I think it's he's been there so long and he was just fired up. But yeah, I mean, it was a weird game because Travis didn't do anything in the first, I think
he had one catch for 1 yard in the first half. He didn't have his anytime touchdown, so the Vegas casinos stay winning. They stay rich. They were going to lose some money if he had a touchdown in that game with so many anytime touchdowns.
Yeah, and I love there's a video of Roger Goodell talking to Taylor Swift in the box.
Saw that.
I don't know if it's a conspiracy.
She found out early that they're going to win, right? She found out.
Yeah. She definitely found out early. She had to make plans and everything like that.
I'm glad Taylor was there. I thought she added to the spectacle. Of course, a Super Bowl doesn't need to add anything because it's already special. But I think a Vegas Super Bowl, we're going to have some time to talk about Vegas here. We're going to talk about Usher. But just on the subject of Taylor and the star power in the building, she elevated it. I thought it was great. It didn't take away from the game at all. CBS didn't overdo it. The people we were watching with didn't overdo it for Taylor. I thought it was very respectable amount of Taylor where it didn't dominate or overtake. It was a great secondary storyline to the game.
I will say we did have 6 children under the age of 5 at the house. By the time we went into overtime, everybody was delusional, especially the kids, because the kids were doing a circle seance dance around the sofa saying, "Go kids, go Chiefs, go Chiefs, go!" Just circled for literally 45 minutes. They did not stop circling.
But so I guess it worked. Right? It worked. Yeah, maybe the energy coming from your house affected it over in Vegas. But I thought Taylor was great. We saw so many celebs. Jay-Z, Beyonce were there. The list goes on and on.
Did you catch that Beyonce is dropping a country album?
I didn't hear that. I heard the rumors about her maybe doing some shows at the Sphere later this year.
Oh, that'd be big. No, but she is dropping a country album. That's what her Verizon ad was all about. She's dropping a country album, and her new song dropped last night. I listened to it this morning. I'm not a country guy. I don't know if I really like it or not. I think I got to get used to it a little bit. The only I don't even know if it's country. I would call it more like soul music from Orville Peck, but he's kind of a country guy. But Beyonce, I don't know. It's weird that she's going to, I don't know why. This is just the weirdest thing. She's doing country. Beyonce is doing country.
Well, she's conquered so much. I don't discount it, and I'm going to check it out because I actually like country and I like Beyonce.
Okay, check it out.
It's right up my alley.
Yeah.
I thought it was great to see her. By the way, you mentioned the commercials. I can't tell you one commercial that aired. When you're at a Super Bowl party, there's really no, we'll have to go back and
the only one that I kept seeing on social was the Duncan.
With all the stars, all the Boston guys.
That was great. I did like that a lot. But I couldn't.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Tom Brady, J-Lo. How much did that cost? They had to pay the talent fees on that. Cost much more than buying it from CBS, right?
Yeah, that was probably really expensive. Everybody was in that commercial. And they did a rap song and J-Lo. Yeah, it was a lot for sure. And the only other one. I really
don't know what happened in that commercial. I have to go back and watch it. I truly don't.
Watch that one. The only other one I remember is the one that Jesus cleans feet. That's the only. That's only one I remember.
Which, you
It
know,
like
Brock
stopped
Purdy.
the party.
Brock Purdy, big Jesus guy.
He is,
and
he
if
is.
Jesus is going to run an ad in the Super Bowl, you better get Brock Purdy to win, because apparently his dad is praying for him throughout every game. Brock Purdy is praying throughout the game. I heard that earlier in the week, and so the Jesus ad didn't work out for him. But we also had some Stop the Jewish Hate ads, which me and you are proud members of the tribe. We're happy about those.
Did you see? I didn't see that one. I didn't catch that commercial.
There was two of them. There was two, 30
it.
seconds. Yeah. So everyone out there, Stop Jewish Hate.
Interesting commercials this year. It felt different for some reason.
It was. Let's talk about Usher and halftime.
Okay, Usher, yeah.
I went on a rant last week that I didn't appreciate the idea of Usher being at the Super Bowl for the halftime show, especially with Taylor and more stars in the house. I caught some heat for that instantly at your party. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I had multiple people attacking me based on the clip they saw on the Sports Hangover YouTube page.
Wow.
Multiple Swifties were not happy, who are also Usher fans. Apparently I missed the boat on Usher. Usher was great. Let's just say it. Usher was great. I was wrong. Great halftime show. And I say Usher was great because Usher did something that he had to do. And this goes back to my original point on last week's show. He had to bring out the star power because he couldn't carry it himself. Usher, I'm sorry, he's not Rihanna. I know not everyone loved Rihanna last year. Usher is not a one name. He is a one name, but he can't headline it like Rihanna
man.
did.
Yeah, he's not
Literally,
a one man.
Right.
Yeah,
so he pulled out 6 stars: will.i.am, Jermaine Dupri, Luda, Lil Jon. Right. So many stars, and that's
Alicia
what made
Keys.
it, I thought, a great show. Right.
I don't know if I listen. We were at the party. It was hard to watch it. It was like, okay, I'm singing along. It's kind of fun. He does have a lot of hits, but I might go back and I know it's all over Apple TV right now. Like I can watch it on there. Yeah. I don't know if it was great. And there's also these memes coming out. Have you ever seen Dodgeball with like Ben Stiller? They're saying he's dressed up like the guys from Dodgeball. There's a meme going around. He's wearing
when he was rollerblading. I mean, that's kind of accurate. That was I mean, he's a 45-year-old man on rollerblades. There's a lot of margin for error in that situation, and he really nailed it, I think.
I'm going to go back and watch. I don't know if it was great. It's definitely no Rihanna or even The Weeknd. I thought The Weeknd did a great job by himself. He's not one of those.
Those mirrors in Tampa still haunt me. When The Weeknd was like trying to figure out where to go, and it's like, I'm still tripping a little bit from that.
That was
like
a fun
4 years later.
He did a good job. Yeah, it was an okay performance. And then what was the other one with like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Eminem were there?
That was in Detroit, right? Because they brought back like all the rappers a few years ago.
Yeah, that was a great one.
That was a really good one. And we know they're making it for our generation. It's like they're really making these halftime shows for millennials. I know Usher was a big part of our binge drinking days, if you will, Michael, back in Orlando, Florida, at those bars. Usher was a soundtrack to those days, but still, definitely. I didn't love it going in. He impressed me. His ticket sales are up. I know he's got a tour coming out, so it's great. And now all eyes on New Orleans next year. We don't know who it's going to be, but I'm excited to hear.
So what do I have here? The Super Bowl. Oh yeah, I have stats on the Super Bowl recap because I didn't realize on the Apple Music, the halftime show, I didn't realize no one gets paid to do that. Artists go out there for free. They do it. Apple paid $50 million to sponsor the halftime show.
It's only their second one, right? Because it used to be Pepsi for all these years.
It used to be Pepsi. And they're saying like The Weeknd, Dr. Dre spent up to $7 million of their own money to make the show even better. But yeah, after Rihanna performed last year, she was the #1 most streamed artist globally, 118 million viewers, right? 17 songs on the top 40, gained 3 million followers on Instagram, and searches for her Fenty Beauty went up 833% after the halftime show. So obviously it's worth it for artists. But to me, the artists that were there, I felt like were doing other things, and I don't know what Usher's doing. That was my problem. I'm like, where's Usher been? Usher has not been around for years. Now, this is not another John Batiste plant conspiracy theory.
It was last week.
That was last week. That was a good one. I still stand by that one. If he shows up at the Oscars, you know for sure he's an industry plant.
I'm not co-signing that one yet.
But yeah, I don't know if it's worth it, but like, even the cost of ads went up. There's like 2010, an ad was $3 million for 30 seconds. This year it's $7 million. It just goes up every year. And the numbers haven't come out yet, right? For the viewership.
No, but it's going to be the most watched Super Bowl ever, the most watched TV show in American history, just because we know from the NFL playoffs so far, they've all been breaking records. And then you add the Taylor Swift effect to the Super Bowl overtime, especially the close game. It's definitely going to be the most watched show ever. So Jim Nantz gets to hang his hat on that. I'm close with Jim, obviously. But like I said, Tony Romo is facing some criticism, and we'll see if he survives the offseason of discussion on that. Going back to Super Bowl city. I just want to give Vegas so much credit. Right?
Vegas.
I mean, Vegas. Yeah. Vegas had an amazing Super Bowl. I think it was a great spot to host one. Makes so much sense. You're on the strip. You don't have to leave the strip. You don't have to go stay where the players did 30 miles later. I love the idea of like a compact area. You don't have to have a rental car or anything. You drink, you walk to the hotel. Vegas, I could see a world, and this might be actually a hot take. I could see a world where you said the Super Bowl should be in Vegas every year, and I say, you're right.
I agree. I mean, it looked like everybody was having a good time. There were parties every night, and it's hard to do it when you're in like Indianapolis or I guess, other cities you can do it. I don't know if Tampa's the one or anything like that, or Miami you can party, but it's not as like, this is a fake city built in the middle of a desert, and literally there's a strip of activities you can do the entire time. When you're in LA, it's like, all right, well, there's SoFi, but you can hang out at the beach, you can do all this other stuff. And yeah, I thought Vegas was great. And I don't know, New Orleans is going to be kind of crazy next year. I don't know how that's going to go, but that's going to be wild too. People are going to go out, have a good time. You can gamble there, which is also good. Gambling states and with the Super Bowl, I like that.
That's a good point. I think New Orleans will be great. Can you hit a little bullshit or believe for me?
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Bullshit or believe time. Bullshit or believe time.
Mike, I want to stay on that subject of Super Bowl city. So let's start with Vegas and the question I asked. Bullshit or believe Las Vegas should host a Super Bowl every year? As a jumping off point, let's answer that.
Listen, I would say believe, but I think it brings a lot of money in for cities, right? So a lot of cities probably want it in their city. They're building new stadiums to come see our stadium.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure Jerry wants one out there in Dallas at some point. I don't know when they're going to get one. I would say believe, but I can't because I know the NFL is a business and it's not just for fun. And if it was, it would be in Vegas every year.
I agree with you. I'm on the believe side of things, except I know it'll never happen and it's impossible. But if I had a vote, I would say do it. Not because I live a 4-hour drive away and we could go every year, but because I thought it was just a great place to be and everyone was in a great mood and the parties were excellent.
By the way, next year for Super Bowl, I thought about what we should do. We're going to Vegas and we're going to rent a cabana at Circus Swim and sit there and watch the Super Bowl. That's what
it looks so sick. Yesterday looked so sick at Circus Swim. Shout out to Stadium Swim.
Heated pool.
It looks amazing. Okay, continue with bullshit or believe.
Yeah.
Tell me if these cities should host Super Bowls again or not. Simple as that. Miami. Should Miami continue to host Super Bowls? Bullshit or believe?
Sure. Why not?
Tampa.
It's I don't know why they love Tampa so much, but they do it in Tampa quite often. Why not? It's a nice city. A lot of strip clubs. Players like strip clubs.
I'm out on Tampa as a venue. Sorry to the Tampa homers. I know there's a lot of strip clubs. That can't be the number one reason to bring a Super Bowl there. It's kind of more spread out. You're at Channel Side. You're at Tampa. The beach is
I don't think anybody goes to Channel Side anymore. I don't think it's like a thing. But
I think that's where the Media Hotel was 14 years ago, if it's still there. The stadium has not been upgraded. One of the older stadiums in the NFL. Not impressive, I would say. I'm out on Tampa. Next year's venue, New Orleans. You're excited about that.
Yeah, but also like I've been to New Orleans, not recently, but in the last 5 years, I went out there for a bachelor party. It's a party nonstop. There's no breaks. I think in Vegas, at least, people relax a little bit. Like the mornings are a little quiet. New Orleans just seems like it's wild all the time. Like there's no stop in New Orleans. The city's kind of compact, small. I don't know if you can get as many people in New Orleans as you can in Vegas, but yeah, I think it would be great. I mean, they have a casino there. You can gamble. You go to the stadium. I think it'll be great.
Drinking, partying, gambling, and a downtown stadium. Like it checks so many boxes. I think New Orleans has to stay in the rotation, and it's a great spot. How about Dallas? You mentioned Jerry. What do you think about Dallas?
I think if Cuban makes that move to get gambling legal and builds out that arena area, I think it would be great because I'm sure he would be more than happy to host some events over at his, Mavs world over there while Jerry has his thing over there. But yeah, I think why not? I mean, that's also spread out too. So that's a little harder, right? It's like Indy. It's like kind of, you're not prepared for this influx of, 300,000 people.
I think Jerry World is a great stadium. It doesn't mean you just need to host the Super Bowl because no one wants to go to Dallas. No one has ever said, let's go to Dallas for the weekend for vacation and we'll go find something to do. No one ever says that unless you know some grandpa that lives there, right? Yeah. And so no one wants to go to Dallas. I think stadiums can't be the whole focus here. And so I'm going out on Dallas.
Oh.
If they want to build this whole new sports area that you're talking about that Mark Cuban has proposed, maybe that's a reason to go back. Until then, no part of Dallas.
Okay.
Right? We're working our way west. Arizona, we just had one recently in Glendale. Some of the best Super Bowls ever have been in Arizona. What do you think about that one?
I mean, I know you're a fan of Arizona and the waste management and you love all that stuff.
It was wasted this weekend. Did you see some of those clips?
Yeah, I saw people were just wasted, so wasted that the people at the gates were just like, come on in, like, we're not checking tickets anymore. And then people got fucking rowdy. So
they had rain delays, and so people were there like hours longer than they should have been. And what do you do during a rain delay? You drink, and it got really bad this year.
I guess Arizona, I mean, it is nice during the winter, right? It's not too hot, not too cold. Sure. Never really been out there too much to know what's going on.
Have you been to Arizona?
I've like stopped over on an airplane because we had to like land there for some reason.
We'll go at some point. I'm actually going bullshit on Arizona.
Oh.
Love it as a place to visit, but every time we have a Super Bowl there, that's a Super Bowl that can't be in Miami, can't be in Vegas, and so that's a problem. I'm really trying to limit the spots here. LA, does LA deserve more Super Bowls?
Sure, LA. I mean, we got the most expensive stadium in the entire world.
And we're homers. You can stay in Santa Monica, 10 minutes to the stadium. That's a nice time. My last bullshitter believe New Jersey. Should New Jersey continue hosting?
No, it's an outdoor stadium in the winter. No, they don't want outdoor stadiums in the winter. Can I add one, which I think would be pretty good? I think Nashville. Little Tennessee tight.
I like that idea. That stadium is old and not nice, but it's like right downtown. It's at the end of that Broadway street.
Yeah, you can just walk across the bridge. The city's really laid out for some partying. And I love the hockey stadium or whatever, the one stadium where they play hockey.
Yeah, it's great.
Right down, like literally downtown across from like the music, whatever, Hall of Fame is right there.
That street on Broadway, that can resemble New Orleans, like Bourbon Street at times. When it gets rowdy, like it's the same idea. I think Nashville's a great idea. Thank you for adding it. They need a new stadium, but maybe the next few years they'll get one, and then they'll get a Super Bowl too. I just think Vegas, like if we can't do it every year, maybe every 3 years, just jam it in like every 3. It's that good. I really think so.
Well, once they start building more covered dome stadiums, that will be it. I don't know why Buffalo's not getting a covered dome stadium. I think the rowdy fans
Didn't they just
Buffalo,
have to move a playoff game to a Monday afternoon? Because
I know, and they still don't want it. All right, before we go, we got one more story. This broke last week, but ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers, Discovery, all teaming up. They're making a new streaming service. We don't know how much it's going to be. I want to predict, I think it's going to be like anywhere between $30 and $50 a month for all the streaming services. You're going to get what? NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college football, golf, tennis, soccer, motorsports, all this other stuff in one bundle. But you're not getting it all. You're not getting NBC. You're not getting CBS. I like the idea of it. But again, it just feels like we're going back to cable. So why not just go back to cable and just say we're doing this? I don't think I would pay $40 for this because I can just get almost everything through YouTube TV, right? And I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. So make it make sense to me, Jeremy.
It's a cheaper alternative to YouTube TV. You mentioned we're going back to cable. That's exactly what this is because it's bundling cable networks. It's nothing that is streaming only that is now going to be available. It's taking all of the cable and linear networks from Warner Brothers, as you said, from Fox, from ABC, ESPN, which are mostly sports channels at this point, and they'll all be available together. We both have YouTube TV. We love YouTube TV. Big fans of everything they're doing. Multiview, the whole thing they brought to the table this year. But it's expensive, right? It's like up to $80, I think, with taxes per month on just like the base plan that we have. And so you're right. If this is 40 to 50, there's a lot of people. Is there a million people? I don't know if there's that many, but say there's a lot of people who subscribe to YouTube TV just for sports. And so those people hypothetically would downsize, save $30-$40 a month and still get this new plan. But it's not like this, the idea of this new streaming service where all sports will be, that's not what this is. No. This is a lot of sports. Like you said, it's not everything. It's still super expensive. And it's bundling cable networks. The conspiracy theorist in me says these 3 companies just want to keep their cable revenues going for as long as they can. This is another way to do it by just bundling them together and making them available to stream, if you will. But they're still linear networks at the end of the day.
And the problem is they're not getting any of the RSNs, right? So they're not getting the local regional sport networks.
No. And those are a mess anyway, right? Because Bally's is bankrupt and we're trying to figure that out. That's not a part of this yet, maybe in the future.
No, but I think if they got some local stuff, I think more people would be more like, hey, wow, I get every single local broadcast of all these teams, even if I'm not a fan. I think that might, but I just don't know if this is going to draw enough people in to be like, oh yeah, let me get this. Especially if they already have NBA TV and they're just like, I'm an NBA fan, I don't need this, but I don't know. Seems a little weird to me.
I
Doesn't
agree
make
with you.
sense.
The other thing they won't have is Prime Video, which is also Thursday night now. They're
Yep.
gaining a lot of sports. Apple TV has all MLS. And so it's really like the idea that it's going to have everything. It's really like 50% of sports you want and care about. So that's an issue.
What are your like top 3 main streamers right now? Like, what are you using? What's day to day?
I don't think that's fair for me to answer, but let's turn the tables on you, Mike.
Well,
What are
come
the
on,
top
Jeremy.
3?
Just give me your top 3. You got top 3. I know you got top 3. What do you use daily as like, hey, I'm tuning into this or I'm doing this? I know you have 3. You don't have to mention them all, but you could, just
The two I honestly go to on a daily basis, are Peacock, no surprise there, and YouTube TV, if that's a streaming service.
Okay.
So those are the two I use on a daily basis. I love Max shows. Not a daily user of Max. They don't have enough content to bring me back every day.
Yeah.
Netflix, I don't have Netflix.
You don't have Netflix?
Crazy, I know. I don't have Netflix.
Oh, all right. Well,
Give us your
think
top 3.
I think the ones I go to, I mean, just in the last week, I've been watching a lot of stuff on Prime. I feel like they have some solid movies. They also have some new shows that came out recently that I've been watching. Netflix and Max, I kind of rotate between those 3. Saturdays is the only day for Peacock when I watch Saturday Night Live. That's pretty
You
much
had Paramount Plus cooking yesterday for the 4K.
I did.
You also had some buffering issues on the big screen.
Listen,
from
the big
Paramount
screen had,
Plus,
not
so
the
I
back
don't know.
TV.
I was reading some reports about Paramount Plus today, and it didn't seem like they had a great Super Bowl.
Well, I was streaming it there because YouTube TV wanted to charge me $19 to get 4K. I'm like, no way. I'm a Paramount guy. I got this. I already had this. Nice. I didn't have to pay for it.
It was a nice picture when it did work.
Yeah, it worked. So yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think they're going to try to get everything up and running before the spring or the fall when everything's kind of gearing back up again.
Really soon. Like for those of us involved in product launches, that's very soon.
It's and I don't know how. I just worry. Does this just remove the brand from the actual streaming service? Like if I'm watching ESPN hockey, sure there'll be some ESPN like banners like all over, but really I'm just in this app. Does it brand matter anymore, or is it just like the app that I view it on?
You'll be on the ESPN network in the app, just like on YouTube TV. You're on a network.
Yeah, but for some reason I imagine the app just having like boxes of like games going, not like networks. Like, oh, go to ESPN and watch.
That's actually the opposite of how I see it. I think it's a lot like YouTube TV, where it's going to be a lineup of channels. Because it's all their linear channels.
Like Peacock. They'll copy Peacock's layout.
FS1. Peacock does have channels, but so does YouTube TV. So it's FS1, FS2, ABC. It's not all the Nat Geos. It's only their sports channels, but it's ESPN, ESPN2. They have so many. SEC, ACC network.
We'll see how it goes. I don't know.
One more TV note before we go, Mike. Sportsodamus was cooking at the beginning of the year, as he normally does. Nick Saban, the GOAT college football coach, is officially joining College Game Day. This was a prediction given out on this show by yours truly several weeks ago. I think it was before he even retired. I want to say I mentioned this early on, that Belichick and Saban were past their prime. They both go to TV. We'll see if the Belichick part comes out. He's not coaching this year. Might have some free time in the fall. Maybe he'll get signed to a network. Little Birdie told me, a little report here, that CBS is looking to blow up their pregame coverage. They had the Super Bowl pregame yesterday. They only have James Brown under contract next year. They don't have anyone else under contract for that pregame show. So look out for Bill B maybe on CBS. But Nick Saban joining College Game Day, ESPN, no surprise. He's going to join Pat McAfee on that show every Saturday.
I don't know how Pat McAfee does it. He's all over the place. Shows every day. It's crazy.
He's in Indy normally. He now hosts Raw every Monday night in the city where Raw is.
Whoa.
And like this week, he was in Indy for his radio show. Then he went to Raw. Then he came back to Indy. Then the next day he was in Vegas for the Super Bowl. It is wild.
That's intense. That's too much. All right, good show. Check out thesportshangover.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/sportshangover. See ya.